According to the National Electrical Code, a disconnect switch is required within sight of the equipment for residential sewage pumps operating at 120 volts with the float switch. The specific NEC section addressing this requirement is 426.15 B3. This rule ensures that anyone working on the pump can quickly and safely de-energize the circuit, preventing electrical shock or other hazards. The disconnect switch must be readily accessible and within sight of the pump to provide immediate control over the power supply. This requirement applies to all pumps, regardless of the distance they are located below grade. Therefore, even if a well pump is situated 200 feet below the surface, a disconnect switch is still necessary within sight of the equipment. The relevant NEC section for this is 430.102. This rule is in place to ensure that maintenance and repairs can be performed safely, regardless of the pump's location. The proximity of the disconnect switch is crucial for quickly cutting off power in case of an emergency or during routine maintenance. It's also essential to understand the rules regarding the installation of low-voltage conductors in relation to higher-voltage conductors. Specifically, the National Electrical Code prohibits installing lower-voltage conductors for a high-water alarm in the same raceway as the 120-volt pump conductors. The applicable NEC section is 300.3. C. This separation is necessary to prevent interference and potential damage to the low-voltage circuit. Running low-voltage and high-voltage conductors in the same raceway can lead to several problems. Firstly, electromagnetic interference, often referred to as EMI, from the 120-volt conductors can disrupt the operation of the low-voltage alarm circuit. This interference can cause false alarms or prevent the alarm from functioning correctly when needed. Secondly, there is a risk of insulation breakdown between the high-voltage and low-voltage conductors. Over time, the insulation on the conductors can deteriorate due to heat, moisture, or physical stress. If the insulation fails, the high voltage can arc over to the low voltage circuit, potentially damaging the alarm system and creating a safety hazard. Thirdly, the presence of high voltage in the same raceway as low voltage conductors increases the risk of accidental contact during maintenance or repairs. Even if the high voltage circuit is de-energized, there is still a potential for induced voltage or capacitive coupling, which can pose a shock hazard. To avoid these problems, it is essential to keep low voltage and high voltage conductors separate. This can be achieved by using separate raceways, cable trays, or conduits for each type of wiring. Alternatively, if it is necessary to run the conductors in close proximity, a physical barrier or grounded shield can be used to provide separation and reduce the risk of interference and accidental contact. When installing electrical wiring, always follow the National Electrical Code and any local codes that may apply. These codes are designed to ensure the safety of people and property and to prevent electrical hazards. It is also important to use qualified electricians for all electrical work to ensure that the installation is done correctly and safely. In summary, firstly, a disconnect switch is required within sight of both residential sewage pumps and well pumps, regardless of their depth below grade. Secondly, low voltage conductors for high water alarms cannot be installed in the same raceway as 120-volt pump conductors due to the risk of interference and potential damage. Always adhere to the NEC and local codes to ensure electrical safety and proper installation.